Good evening. Again, my name is Bree Mackey, and I'm your moderator this evening for this event. This event is the Winona County Board of Commissioners District Number 2. Our co-sponsors this evening are AAUW and the Women's Resource Center of Winona. We are pleased to welcome those of you in our live audience and citizens who may be watching at home. We also want to thank the City of Winona for allowing us to hold this educational forum at the City Council chambers. For those of you watching at home, we have a call-in number for you to provide questions for the panel. That number is 457-8280. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization organized at the state, local, and national level to encourage its citizens to participate in government. While we as a league do study and take stands on issues, we do not endorse nor support political parties, candidates, or tell them who to vote for. This forum is intended to provide the voters with information so that they can make an educated decision on the ballot. The views expressed in this education forum are those of the candidates. We do encourage our members as individuals and encourage each of you to get involved in your community. Our timekeeper this evening is Stephanie Nuttall. Copies of the forum ground rules have been provided to the candidates, as well as copies are available for those of you watching from the public. I am briefly going to review and highlight some of those ground rules. The audience is expected to be courteous to the candidates and good listeners. This is a live TV broadcast, and we expect the audience to remember that. Please, we ask the audience not to support or provide any feedback during the forum and to hold their applause till the end. We would like to remind everyone to please turn off your cell phones and pagers. Photos and videotaping is not authorized by the League of Women Voters. This forum is being taped and may not be edited and must be broadcasted in its entirety in according to all FCC regulations. The candidates may not use this educational forum video in their campaigning or their literature. During the forum, we do ask the audience present and our listeners at home to call in with questions or write their questions down. Again, that number is 457-8280. The League of Women Voters and co-sponsors will sort the questions for the moderator, and the moderator will ask the questions. The League of Women Voters will determine which questions will be asked and attempts in good faith to cover all areas of interest expressed by our audiences. The candidates have not seen the questions or know those in advance. Questions that are hostile, partisan, embarrassing, inappropriate, or of personal nature will not be asked, and questions on similar topics will be grouped. All questions then become property of the League of Women Voters. Candidates will strictly observe the time limits for the responses. The timekeeper will hold up the cards to indicate the time is about to expire. Once the stop card is displayed, candidates please stop at the end of your sentence. Opening statements will consist of 2 minutes, questions is a 1-minute response, and our closing will be 1 minute. The candidates with us today running for the Winona County Board, District 2, are Marie Koveski, Jerry Moen, and Wayne Valentine. And thank you all for coming. And just to let the audience know, I did ask if I could address them by their first names, and they have all agreed. At this time, we would like to begin with our opening statements, and our first speaker this evening will be Marie. Marie, you have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. Good evening. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring tonight's forum, and I look forward to an open exchange of ideas and concerns. I think we all appreciate Mr. Valentine's years of service as a local radio and news commentator, but I'm running because I'm concerned about his voting record and how he represents citizens in District 2. I've been talking with others, and I'm hearing their concerns. Winona County studied the issue of bluffland protection, and we developed ordinances to support our values. 1 3-2 vote changed that. Excuse me. My family lives here, went to school here, and enjoys our quality of life here because we were attracted by jobs and the unique beauty of our bluffs. Here are some of the issues that are on the voters' minds as I've been at their door. They have concerns that their opinions and questions are not being heard. Many want to participate and be an active participant in democracy. They're tired of unanswered phone calls and emails. They're confused about the discussion about our county administrator. They want the board to hire the best person possible, to give them the resources they need to do the job, and to use the checks and balances that are already in place to monitor the progress towards the county goals. The second issue is that people have a lot of questions about the impacts that the frac sand industry has brought to our community and our neighborhoods. They have questions about health, safety, roads, and property values. One woman Monday night told me at the door, "It's time for a change. Thank you for running." I want to run and to work to protect our health, safety, and our quality of life in Winona County. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Jerry, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I want to also thank the League of Women Voters for its opportunity to listen to my views as far as that goes. I entered a race again. I ran against Wayne 4 years ago. I was a little bit disappointed in the voting that's been taking place through the years. Seems like it's become more about special interest and self-interest. And I think that what I want to do is to join the race. I'd like to get back true representative government where you listen to the issues, listen to your constituents, and make a sound decision based on business principles. I've been in business for 40 years, and I think I provide that choice. I see in the magic ball here, I've got Marie on one side and Wade on the other side. I see them on both sides. I think I represent true representative government for Winona County.
Thank you, Jerry. Wayne, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Wayne Valentine, the incumbent 2nd District Winona County Commissioner. I began serving on the board on 2011. I'm seeking re-election because I enjoy public service and also because citizens from both inside and outside the district urged me to run again. I served as the board's vice chair in 2012 and the board chair in 2013. I currently serve on the county's Economic Development Committee, Community Services Advisory Committee, County Extension Committee, the Sheriff's Advisory Committee, and serve as an alternate for several other committees. I've attended a number of Association of Minnesota Counties conferences where I've served as a member of the General Government and Environment and Natural Resources Policy Committees. During my more than 3.5 years as a commissioner, I've represented Winona County at numerous public and community events. I've reached out to citizens throughout the county by attending several meet and greet events that were held over the past several years at various locations, and I provided periodic updates to the Goodview City Council. Reflecting on my service on the board, I've supported issues that have benefited citizens both in and outside of the district. It's important to note, I think, that during my tenure on the board, we have not increased our tax levy. We restored individual property and development rights by adopting amendments to the zoning ordinance, are in the process of updating our comprehensive plan, implemented a drug court, and have increased collaboration between Winona County and other governmental entities. However, time does not allow me tonight to mention other significant programs and services that we've approved to reach our goal of operating an efficient, effective government. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. And thank you, all of you candidates, for your opening statements. And just a reminder to speak loudly into the microphones for our audience here to hear. We're going to start the first question, and the first question will go to Jerry, and then we'll follow in order to Wayne and Marie and kind of follow that sequence. What leadership skills do you possess that will help you to represent the citizens of Winona County?
Well, I've been in several leadership roles. Currently, I'm running a inbound and outbound call center for a Apostolic Publishing Company in Oakdale, Minnesota. I've been sales manager, been in business my whole career. I've owned a business, a couple businesses, one successful, one not so successful. But I've always gave back to, I'm also a member of the EDA. I had to resign because of my position up in the cities, but if given the opportunity to be the next commissioner for the 2nd District, I would do it as a full-time basis and come back to Winona and provide this service for the people of Winona County.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, I believe that I tend to lead by example by being honest and trustworthy. Over the years, I've served as chair and president of many organizations, both locally and across the state. I've always believed in using a hands-on approach, working side by side with other individuals while working on projects or resolving issues. I've always been a team player. I tend to approach issues in a positive manner while avoiding negativity and conflicts. I believe that a good leader listens to both sides of an issue, but in addition to that, should not depend on opinions of others, but must research the issue on his own. And a good leader also should not be intimidated when making what some may view as unpopular but tough decisions.
Thank you. Marie?
I can't see the sign.
Speak to the mic.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. The question is what leadership skills. My experience and my professional background has been as a teacher and an advocate for blind and visually impaired children and their families. This speaks to my character and also to my problem-solving style, which tends to involve small groups which get together to address specific concerns, and also may involve multiple agencies and counties in some of the resolution. Two of the county board goals currently are to have multi-agency programs, and so I have a direct working experience in that role. I've also served at the state level, and this allowed me to develop my budget and management skills, and grant writing and monitoring of grants. I've served as a community volunteer, which gave me the example to work across all ages and all economic groups. We're lucky to have a tradition of volunteers and community services, starting with John Latch.
Thank you, Marie. Sorry to cut you off. Just a reminder to keep an eye on the time clock so that we don't have that problem. And the other thing is, if you wouldn't mind, just all of you just moving your microphones down a little bit. We're having some problems hearing in the back, and then just speak into them.
Thank you.
Thank you. The second question, we're going to start with Wayne. What do you see as the top 3 priorities for Winona County Board in the next 2 years?
Well, obviously, hiring a new administrator will be one of my top priorities. I believe that it'll be an individual that will administer the policies as directed by the county board. I believe that the individual must be a team player that is willing to work with the county board, other elected officials, and our employees. He or she must be someone that we can trust, communicates well with others, and promotes a positive environment for our employees, the public, and other government entities that we work or collaborate with. Another important priority is to continue to provide the current services offered by Winona County without increasing our levy, while improving employee morale and avoiding any reduction in staff. And thirdly, adopting the comprehensive plan. This is a document that will affect the direction the county will take now and in the future.
Thank you. Marie, same question.
Thank you. First has to be to protect our health, safety, and quality of life for all of Winona County and District 2. We have some threats in our area that have the potential to change our environment and the way we live and work. The second is to work towards efficient and effective balance between public services. Government needs to be big enough to provide the services that the community needs and wants, and it needs to be small enough to be efficient. And I would work to establish that balance between services and efficiency. And the third is to promote economic development that matches our values. And we can use the comprehensive plan to do this. I want to have a forward-looking comprehensive plan to use as a guide for what we want our county to look like in 10 years.
Thank you. Jerry?
I believe the administrator is probably priority number one. Then in succession from there, probably the issues about frac sand and also the zoning that's in the county. I see the county going backwards. We're kind of going back to the way it used to be with county commissioners. I see a train wreck happening if we don't make some changes here. And I think we need more representative government, and we also need term limits, that we need to have the commissioners no more than 2 terms. We need new blood in there all the time and new direction. And we do need to work together as a team. I totally agree with that.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Marie. What is your position on frac sand mining in Winona County?
Thank you. I know we know a lot more about the issues than we did 2 years ago, and we also have some perceptions of the hazards that have come into our neighborhoods. And we could also look at Wisconsin to show that we don't have all the good answers. But Minnesota State Department and the Environmental Quality Board has developed a document called Tools for Districts to Use in Planning and Working on this issue. And this has a lot of recommendations in issues such as air quality, water quantity, water quality. Our citizens have concerns in these areas, as well as road safety, property values, and this area was so new it wasn't even addressed in the 2010 county plan. So I would like to see the new information worked into our CUP process, our CUP process, and also into our monitoring.
Thank you, Marie. Jerry?
Well, I am for frac sand mining if it's regulated properly. I think that's the key, and that we've taken some steps. Other counties are going through this. We need to work together with other counties to see what they're doing and probably follow the process that works for everybody. I would like to see U.S. independence of oil someday, and I think with the opportunity we have with the mining in North Dakota and other areas for frac sand, it's a viable solution to our energy problem.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, first of all, the Winona County zoning ordinance, which was adopted in 2010, allows this type of mining under a conditional use process. I believe that each mining application should be submitted and acted on its own merits. The conditional use permit process allows us to attach conditions to each and every mining program that is taking place in Winona County. For example, the Nisbet mine, we attached over 30 conditions, which I believe answered all of the concerns that citizens had brought before us. I should point out that the mine that is operating is not, at this moment, removing any silica sand, but is taking bedding for cattle, which is providing a much-needed commodity for the agriculture industry in Winona County. So I believe that each one should be voted on its own merit, but I do support the industry.
Thank you. Jerry, we'll start with you. And this is in regards to conditional use permits. Questions regarding that. What process would you use to make your decisions and vote on controversial permits?
As long as the stipulations and regulations are in place, as Wayne has said, and they are thought through and it's a good process, that would allow me to vote in that direction. I'd also like a lot of constituents' interest, and I always remained open to hearing from constituents what their views are. I would, obviously take a neutral role if everybody was in the favor of not having frac sand, because I think it's important to listen to your constituents and try to represent them in the best possible way.
Thank you. Wayne, same question.
Well, as our county attorney has indicated to us, we have to act in a quasi-judicial manner, and that means that we have to listen to both sides of the issue and to make our decision based on the rules and regulations that are before us. It's not always what we want, but if the rules and regulations allow for such the industry to be considered and approved in Winona County, then we have to act that way accordingly. So it's not as simple as some people may think it is, but we do listen to both sides of the issue. We do listen to the people that provide information at the public hearing, and based on that, we make our decision, and I will continue to do that.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes. First of all, I would involve citizen input. I think public hearings are allow people to come before the board and make comments and bring up points for discussion, and sometimes they might even bring up something that would need to be researched further. I think we have to have a careful look at the guidelines we currently have and see what also is available. For instance, this document from the Environmental Quality Board, which we can use in the CUP process. And I would research new information. In 2011, when Dr. Hillary Carpenter was here, he said, find out what's in your air. He's from the Minnesota Department of Health. So there is still information that we need to research. And I would base the decision on the guidelines that we have at hand and on the benefits and controls that the industry needs to protect our health, safety, and welfare.
Thank you. We're going to change gears here a little bit and start with Wayne. With the potential problem of human trafficking in Winona County, what types of prevention and public education efforts do you feel are necessary to keep our area safe?
Well, that's a tough question. I believe that we do have a sexual abuse prevention council. In fact, they presented a proposal to us at our board meeting last night. This is a group that is working very hard to prevent sexual abuse and also any type of sex trafficking. I believe that the county board financially will support those efforts, and I would support the financing to provide that prevention programs.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, I would also put some stress on prevention programs because we know that they can work. I think we would need to develop and promote information that shows that this is not an acceptable behavior in our community. Also, you would have to have a criminal and justice system that holds the offenders accountable. And also, you would need to continue to provide support for any of the victims that we may come across for their own safety and welfare. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry?
Well, I think education is important, but I think I would allow it not to be a county issue so much as a state and federal issue. The laws that we put in place and we adhere to them. There's too much, renegade counties doing things on their own that I think it's important that we, follow the rules of the state and the federal government. And, we certainly can educate at our level, and this could be taken care of at that level.
Thank you. Marie, the next question will start with you. Last year, the one and only support staff in the Winona County Veterans Service Office retired and has not at this time been replaced. As of May 2014, the Veterans Service Officer has submitted his retirement and his last day is August 1st, 2014. There is much knowledge and training that is left and the rest will be gone August 1st. How will veterans in Winona County be served?
I think the county, I don't know if they're under a policy that prevents them from hiring replacements for staff such as this. This is a specialized person that performs a specialized job, and they need to be involved with those services. Veterans have specific needs in our county and in our communities that other citizens do not present with. And even though these services need to be addressed at the county level by a specialized person.
Thank you. Jerry?
I think veterans should be treated in the highest regard. they demonstrate now and in the past their support to the country through their efforts in the armed services. I would support having this position filled again. I would certainly like some input from the constituents of District 2 in that regard, but I see it as a no-brainer that you would have this position refilled again.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, we've already taken some steps at the county board level by authorizing getting 2 support staff people certified so that they can work in the office. Our interim administrator also is aware of the resignation and has been meeting with the state veterans organization and officials, and we will be working to fill that. We are in the process at the present time of drawing up a classification. The individual who will be named a veteran service officer will be required to be a veteran. I agree with Jerry and Marie that serving our veterans is very important, but we already are taking steps to fill that position and working on it at the present time.
Thank you. Jerry, we'll start with you. How will you work to help Winona County balance its budget?
Well, that's very important. I would work in conjunction with the financial people of the county. It's very important that we stay within our means. Obviously, our federal government's out of control, and our state government sometimes gets out of control. But with the balance of a competent new administrator and the financial people at Winona County, we would always want to go forward with a balanced budget.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, as I mentioned in my opening statement, during the past 4 years, we have not increased our levy. We've had to make some tough decisions in doing that, but we've been able to provide the services that the county citizens expect without cutting staff. The board has a goal this year of continuing that 0 increase or less increase in the levy. We've expressed that to our finance director and our department heads, and I believe that we will meet that goal again this year. So look for no increase in the budget.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, I would also work with county staff. I've already met with some of the department heads and been investigating, particularly around the budget issues. We have about a $43 million budget that we're dealing with. I think some of the areas are budget analysis, and I spoke a little bit about this in my opening statement, where you're balancing the kinds of services that the community wants and needs with the efficiency. Government needs to be big enough to provide the services and small enough to be efficient and effective. Also, I know we're in the development process for the 2015 budget cycle, so there will be opportunities for citizen input at many levels coming up, so I would hope that we would have that kind of input. And I hope there's discussion at the township meetings and at some of the neighborhood meetings about these topics, because these are crucial to how our government operates.
Thank you. Wayne, we'll start with you on this question, and we're moving back to frac sand because there was so many questions submitted. And if you guys, I was also going to mention, if you need questions repeated, please let me know. On March 19th, the Environmental Quality Board recommended that all frac sand facilities have fence line air monitoring. Will you support such monitors?
Yes, I would support that, and I believe that that is one of the conditions that we added on to the conditional use permit for the Nisbet mine in Saratoga Township. I also would support that the individual operating the particular operation would be responsible for paying for that monitoring as well.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, I would support that recommendation. That was one of the first sections that the Environmental Quality Board dealt with, and there's quite a amount of information that went into that section, and also recommendations saying that at the fence line, and I think I think citizens have expressed to me at the door that they've seen the sand on our roads and sand escaping off of some of the piles, and they have some very strong concerns about the long-term health impacts that might be in our community. We know the sand can cause silicosis. OSHA has very strict requirements for workers, but we don't know what might be escaping into our communities. So the air quality monitors at the fence line would be one way to start collecting that information.
Jerry?
I totally agree with it. It makes sense, and obviously it's been enacted, so I totally agree. I don't think any of the voters would have any problems with that if it's one of the regulations attached to frac sand mining.
Thank you. Marie, back to you to start this question. How can Winona County support the rights of individual landowners while protecting our bluffs and wetlands?
I think that one of the reasons we have zoning ordinances is to keep a balance between particularly those two issues. If I'm a property owner, I take pride in my property and I want to develop it, but I do have neighbors, and so you have kind of the public and private concerns entering into the picture there. You want to be able to develop your property safely, and that's safely for you and for your family, but also for your neighbors and for your community, because if you don't do something properly, there may be costs to the community that have to be taken on. So I just believe it's a balance, and that we would use our current zoning laws and be always looking for additional ways to deal with the concerns that people have in the district.
Thank you. Jerry?
I went to several meetings on the zoning when it was initiated, and I think it was a perfectly good law with some tweaks that needed to take place. The big problem here is we've got a 3-2 split in our commissioners. If you elect Wayne, it's going to be dismantled. We're going to move backwards to like the 1960s again. And if you elect Marie, it's going to stop it, the where it is right now, and it'll be a gridlock. So I think you need somebody like me that's going to look at the issues both ways and make good decisions one way or the other.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, I support individual property rights. I think there has to be a balance, but I do believe that we do have very responsible citizens who live in this county and will make right decisions. I've been a lifelong resident of Winona County. I respect the citizens who live here, and I believe that they will make the right choices. One of the arguments that were made when the amendments were passed was that we were going to ruin the burial grounds for the Indian burial grounds and also create erosion problems. I have Native American relatives, so I'm very sensitive to that issue, and in fact, with the zoning amendments, you will still have to conduct a study if you live in an area where there's a high probability of Indian burial grounds. And if you're going to do any building on a slope or a bluff, you will have to submit an erosion or stabilization plan to the planning department.
Thank you. I just want to remind people who are watching at home to call in with their questions, 457-8280. The next question will start with Jerry. What can or will you do to help provide efficiency of service to all county residents?
Well, that's really the main responsibility. I think the key is to get an administrator in place that's workable with the commissioners and put the right guidelines in place so they know what latitude they have. Apparently there's been some problems with the past ones where the commissioners aren't communicating well and back and forth, and I think that we need to have an administrator that will control county's costs and have the latitude to do so, but with the auspices of the commissioners of the county.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, I've already indicated that over the past 4 years or the past several years, we've had to make very tough decisions in making sure that we are being good financial stewards. I believe that we have been that way. As I pointed out, we've been able to, through cross-training of our employees, adding new technological advances, and doing other things that have helped to provide efficient, effective government, that I believe we're on the right track and will continue to do that. I do think that one of the ways that we can continue to be more effective is by increased collaboration between Winona County, other governmental entities, and our various departments as well.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, I agree. I think part of the key to the package is to hire the best administrator that we can to direct and manage our services. And also, I think that cross-training can work, but we have to keep in mind that many of our employees have specialized knowledge and skills in direct areas of service, some of our health services people and things like that. So I think we have to recognize and respect that that knowledge isn't easily transferred across to other person. And I think that also my experience working in a low incidence area of education and providing multi-county and multi-agency services can give me some background and some sensitivity to this area for the citizens. We need the best services available for our county government, from our county government. That's one of the purposes of government.
Thank you. Wayne, we'll start with you. When there is a conflict between the interests of a commercial entity and those of public health and welfare, how would you weigh their importance?
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Sure. When there is a conflict between the interests of a commercial entity and those of public health and welfare, how would you weigh their importance?
Well, I guess I would weigh the importance by going on to researching the particular conflict and then getting as much input as possible, and then determine which would be the priority.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, you would definitely have to do some research and some looking into what's causing the conflict, what are the issues, which would involve talking to your constituents and listening also to constituents. The public health and welfare, again, would be one of the main goals and objectives for our county services, and that I think we would have to take a really careful look at the balance between a commercial venture, make sure that they understand the services they are supposed to be providing and that they're adequate to do that provision of services, because public health and welfare has to trump any other issues involved.
Thank you. Jerry?
I would say equally, and, investigate the conflict, as Wayne has said, and Marie both. And then you've got to, listen to your constituents, public hearings, all the stuff that's involved, and make a legitimate decision. You shouldn't look either commercially or for public health one way or the other. I disagree with Marie on that. I think that you have to look at them equally and see how they benefit Winona County.
Thank you. Marie, we'll start with you on the next question. Are there areas of service in the county that are either missing or should be augmented?
I can think of some areas that actually have not been included in the comprehensive plan. We have issues and concerns about weather patterns and some of the catastrophic floods we've had in the past few years. And there are some plans in the comprehensive plan to address this, but it needs to be looked at as a whole package. Also, the services that are needed by our aging population is always a concern. We know that population is growing in size, and I would like to see some strong statements in the comprehensive plan to address that area also.
Thank you. Jerry?
Could I have the question again, please?
Certainly. Are there areas of service in the county that are either missing or should be augmented?
At this point, I don't think so, but the more involved I would get as a commissioner in listening to constituents if there's those type of concerns, I think you would go forward at that time. But I don't see any missing stuff. It seems like the county is running pretty efficiently right now, and I think that was despite the issues with Mr. Abear, he was a very good administrator as far as running the county and running it as a business versus, running it, just spending money haphazardly.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, government changes on a day-to-day basis, and services may have to be augmented or reduced or added to on the basis of what's happening at the state and federal level. Many times there are unfunded mandates that are handed down by the state and federal government. We rely on our staff. If there is a service that needs to be provided, they bring it to the county board, and based on the information that they provide, we would make a decision whether to augment or add that particular service.
Thank you. Jerry, we'll start with you. How will you increase morale with the county employees?
I'm not sure there is apparently there's a morale problem if the question's asked. I think you have to listen to your employees, and obviously in this day and age, I manage 65 employees, and I handle morale by listening to the employees, but still, you have to run it as a business, so you can't do things that you can't do. So I think we, listen to our employees as much as we can, but the cross-training and things that have been taking place at Winona County are necessary to run efficiently, and I think we should continue down that road.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, I do believe there is an employee morale problem at Winona County. The majority of the board has set that as one of our priority goals. If you look at our goals, that's an issue that we are very concerned about. One of the things that we're doing at the present time is holding facilitated discussions with our employees to get their immediate feedback on problems or concerns that they might have, the needs that they might need, additional space. We're trying to get their information, and we do survey our employees from time to time, but I do believe that there are steps that still need to be taken, and we'll be working with that issue when we hire a new administrator.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, I think obviously you listen to the employees and get a handle on what their issues are. You also provide supports and respect their professional background. This could be things like providing in-service and development for the employees. And investigating exactly what the concerns and the needs are can sometimes be quite simple. I have met with many of the county departments and with staff, and there is some work to be done. I think our new administrator is going to have a plan for addressing this particular issue.
Thank you. Wayne, we'll start with you. How will you support transparency in the budget process?
Well, one of the steps we're taking this year is having a little more commissioner involvement. We've asked that the information regarding the budget be presented to us earlier than it has been in the past. It started already last night when we had some information about some of the budget requests. I also believe that department heads should be forthcoming and meeting with commissioners to tell us what their need, and also I believe that the public should be providing input as much as possible as well. So our budget, I think, is pretty much an open book, and people can comment on it at any time. So appreciate hearing their feedback.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, I think the departments this year are providing additional information and rationale for their requests, and that's also becoming part of the package as the budget moves forward, and I think that's a positive piece of information to help the commissioners and the general public know more about the budget. I think the public concerns need to be directly organized and listened to. I know there are public hearings, and those would be very helpful for the public. There may also be a need for meetings out in the different districts to seek out public input.
Thank you. Jerry?
I just think make it simply transparent. Provide all the information that every citizen of the county can get, some means, and listen to their concerns and see what we can put together. And the whole process with meetings and everything should be open, whether it's in the districts or wherever, and make it totally transparent.
Thank you. Marie, we'll start with you. If you are a county commissioner, how will you respond to your constituents who leave voicemail messages, email messages, or contact you?
I think this is a basic responsibility, and the citizens are placing their trust in you to represent them, and it's all citizens, not just citizens who might be your supporters or people who agree with you. I think it's the constituents in general that we need to respond to. And as commissioner, I would be in to represent all citizens, not just those I agree with. You obviously, as a common courtesy, need to return emails and calls and listen with respect and follow up however I would be needed, which may involve talking to county and state staff or investigating a problem. I'm a public servant, not someone selected for a selected constituency, but for all.
Thank you. Jerry?
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm running. I've had several constituents come to me and says that they have either called or emailed Wayne, the current commissioner for District 2, and haven't had responses. So I'm just going by what they're telling me. I'm in sales and marketing, and I respond to every request I have. And I ran last time on the open book type policy that I put on my sign, call me, email me, and I'll respond to you, whatever position you hold on it as far as that goes. I think that information should be forthcoming, and if they're willing to provide you or ask you some questions, it's your responsibility to respond to them.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, I think over my 3.5 years, I have responded to the majority of the emails and telephone calls. I believe that there are times when a particular issue, when there are numerous emails that are pretty much addressing the same issue and have the same information, that I have not always responded to all emails, but I do make it a point to read all. I guarantee you I do that. I do listen to all the telephone calls. I'm out about in the community. I hear feedback. I'm also out in the county, and I do have an opportunity. And as I said, I've initiated and attended the meet and greet events that we had around the county, and that gave a public a great opportunity to provide feedback to me. And I do listen, and then I make my decisions on not only the opinions I have expressed, but also on my own research.
Thank you. This is going to be our last question before we move on to the closing, and we'll start with Jerry. Do you support the zoning ordinance amendments passed by the county board?
I do not. You're talking about the recent ones, I take it. I think that they, are starting to dismantle the zoning that was set forth 4 years ago, and I'm a little bit disturbed with it. But obviously, we've got a situation where there's a PAC 3-2, and it's going to go even further in the coming 4 years. And that's why I think it's good to put a neutral person in a position that would listen to it and, go to where the constituents want them to go. I think right now it's a foregone conclusion. If anything comes up, Wayne's going to go vote with Jacobs and Marshall Ward. So it happens. It's been going on, and it's going to continue.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, I did support, and I do continue to support the amendments, and it was based on the feedback that I received when I was running for this office. I openly opposed the zoning ordinance at the time I was elected, and I did that based on the feedback that we just talked about, communication I had when I went door to door. There were many people who felt the non-conforming issues and some of the issues that were being forced on them by the zoning ordinance would not be good. I believe that the changes we made addressed the issues that I've heard. I'm satisfied now that the amendment gives an equal playing field to all residents of Winona County, and I'm glad that I supported him. I did have emails and phone calls and contacts from people all across the community thanking me for that support. So,
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, I would not support the recent zoning ordinances. I think they are beginning to take apart areas like bluffland development that I spoke of in my opening statement. This recent set of changes went through very quickly, also compared to some of the study and the input that is sought from all different groups. I have heard at the door when I'm knocking and talking with people a very strong concern about the 3-2 voting block that Mr. Valentine is participating in, and people want a representative that will listen to all sides of the issue and think before they vote.
Thank you. We're nearing the end of the forum and would like to ask each of the candidates to present their closing remarks. You will each have 1 minute, and we will start with Wayne.
well, first of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters, the AAUW and Women's Resource Center for hosting this forum. As the incumbent 2nd District County Commissioner, I believe that I have fulfilled the majority of the campaign promises I made when first elected and have not been afraid to make tough decisions. The decisions that I have made, I believe, reflect the views and wishes of the majority of Winona County residents. That being said, there are still many important issues yet to come before the county board. My 4-year service on the board will certainly be a plus when it comes time to act on and resolve these issues. I ask for your support in the upcoming August 12th primary and also in the November general election. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Marie, 1 minute.
Yes, I thank my fellow candidates for an open exchange of ideas, and I also especially thank our sponsors for organizing this forum and for getting it before the public. It's organizations like these and the League of Women Voters that make democracy strong. I believe that informed voters are what makes democracy work, and I want to work as an informed commissioner. I will listen and respond to the voters just as I'm seeking out and meeting folks at their door. I'm meeting with county department heads and staff, and this has been a really fun way also to meet and talk with our constituents. As you can see, there are clear differences among our candidates, and as your commissioner, I will work hard for the citizens of District 2. And I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and discuss these important concerns.
Thank you. Jerry, 1 minute.
I also want to thank the sponsors of this event tonight. I think it's a great way to get the views of the people running for this particular office in District 2. I want to thank the candidates. I think that's very good. It's what democracy is all about, and that's why I so choose to run again. I represent true representative government. I kind of take a neutral stand in everything. I don't look at special or self-interest in my decision-making. I probably will run with no help. I'm looking for volunteers if I should win, and that would be the primary, and I'd like to have the opportunity to represent the constituents of District 2 in Winona County, and I ask for your vote at the primary and also at the general election if I so get to that point. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are at the end of our time for this forum and want to thank each of the candidates for the informative information. The League of Women Voters would also like to thank our co-sponsors, AAUW and the Women's Resource Center of Winona. We would also like to thank HBC for taping this educational forum. Select candidate forums will be rebroadcasted on the government access channels, Charter Cable, channel number 987 and HBC cable channel 19. Please check your local listings for dates and times of the forum rebroadcasts. And I'd also like to share with you, we will have, after this event this evening at 7:30, the Winona County Sheriff Candidate Forum. And on August 5th, at the St. Charles Community Center, we will hold the Sheriff Candidate Forum. And that is sponsored by the Women's Resource Center of Winona with the League of Women Voters moderating. It begins at 7 p.m., and this one will not be televised. All League of Women Voter general election forums will be held in the Winona City Hall chambers throughout September and October of 2014. Please watch your local media and publicities for updates on these opportunities. If you need information about becoming a registered voter, call the Winona County Auditor or the City of Winona Clerk. The League of Women Voters has a website, and that's mnlwv.org, and visit this website for useful general service information. And just a reminder to please vote on August 12th. Thank you.